Hello, everyone. It's yours truly, Dr. Alana DeGrassa, president of Turning on the Lights Global Institute. And I want to start off with a phrase that most of my clients and constituents hear me say all the time. You're beautiful, you're valuable, and nothing about you is a mistake. Can we say that again? I'm beautiful, I'm valuable, and nothing about me is a mistake. Two snaps. So, welcome to today's discussion. You know what? We have had a busy year. And as you know, COVID-19 rocked our worlds, and many of us are looking at 2020 and saying, what happened? And looking at 2021 and saying, okay, we're taking it one step at a time. And I just want you to know that if you have personally been impacted or have had family members impacted, we are still thinking of you. And particularly if you are an entrepreneur, this has got to be one of the most challenging times because some industries had to shift completely, like the travel and hotel industries, and other individuals had to just shift the way they were doing things. So if you were used to just getting business through referrals or only used to people coming to your local place or your traditional meeting room, you know that all of that shifted once everyone began to quarantine and stay at home. But I want you to know something. We are still going to have to be prepared to pivot as the year ensues. As we get through this late summer and move into the fall and winter, we are going to have to be taking everything inch by inch, right? And so I always say there's no professional development when we don't have personal development. And for me, that's everything because when we think about goal acquisition, and what it means to reach an anticipated goal, we have to know that there are so many variables that impact how we show up in a given thing. And in my research with looking at persistence, looking at the efficacy that someone has, a sense of belonging and community in a classroom, in their industry, when they have a strong sense of efficacy, it's easier for that person to really envision that not only their goal is possible, but that their outcome is possible as well. See, a lot of times at the beginning of a new year, we get out a vision board, we create the vision, and then we are left to kind of wonder, well, what are all the steps between going from point A to point B? And I know, being a teacher, we plan a lot and we prepare a lot and we research a lot. And I also understand how that kind of trajectory of working can also lead a new entrepreneur into a lot of paralysis. So I know that there are many teachers that decided they were not going back to the classroom and they're going to start their own businesses. If you're an educator, I highly recommend that you follow our YouTube channel and you click subscribe because we're going to be talking about how you can become an edupreneur. We're going to be talking about business communication strategy and how do you take what you know how to do, your expertise, the things you do well, the things you've done for decades, and translate that into a consulting practice or into some kind of training modality so that people can learn about your genius and benefit from all of the things and the know-how that you have. So I want to just ask you, grab a pen, grab a notebook, because every time you see me live stream, you have to know that there's going to be some juicy nuggets for you to take in as you think about how you can upgrade in your life and upgrade in your business. And the other piece is make sure you always take radical action after you watch one of these videos, because I know that I've spent hours researching, planning, and strategizing for ways for leaders and experts like yourselves to win. So let's deep dive today. Well, I know some of you know of my story about how I became an entrepreneur, but I thought I would just start right now and let some of you who may not know who I am understand my story and my journey. You see, back in 2013, I was told that I was making too much money. And at that time, there was a decision made to cut my schedule drastically. So I either had a decision of saying, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Or how can I use my gifts in communication and strategy and new media and art? how can I tie that together to show people that they too can share their genius, have fun along the way, and implement tools like social media, new media, or triad ways of showing communication strategy. So I decided to form my very first course. I'll never forget it. And it was called Women Build Confidence. And when I wrote it, I was really thinking about all of the women and professionals who have had times where, you want to get that promotion, but something tells you not to, or you want to write that book, but you just tell yourself you don't have enough time, or you have a new family and you just feel torn between these roles that we have of whether you're a mom or whether you work full time or whether you become an adult learner. There are so many things that come in front of us. And sometimes we just think, I don't have the time or I don't have the capacity to upgrade. So I formed this course and I had no idea what impact it would make. I thought it was interesting that a man who purchased the course for his wife commented, "Oh, I purchased this course for my wife, but actually, I actually need some of these tools too." So I was able to see that, you know what, there's more for me to do beyond the classroom. And I just have to show up and really think through how I can help and serve others. I mean, is that you? As I'm chatting today, I want you to make sure you leave your comments, click like, or share this with someone who really needs that kind of encouragement. Because let's face it, whether you are in the teaching industry or another type of industry, we are growing more and more into what we call a gig economy. And that just simply means that most people today are not only operating in their mainstream of income, but they usually have some kind of additional side hustle that they are building. It could be an invention that they're creating. It could be a product that they're supporting, or it could be trainings that they would like to turn into digital products. And so you are in a great virtual space with me right now because I've had the pleasure of coaching thousands of individuals around business communication strategy. So, one of the things I want you to know is that no one is going to come to your basement and find you. I know we want them to because it's comfortable there. And I wouldn't mind having a donut and coffee in the basement, right? But when we're talking about being that go-to person and being the solution for others, you have to realize that people sometimes don't even know that they need you. Sometimes they simply need a reminder, or sometimes they need to just see a message from you that reminds them, hey, wait a minute, this person might have a couple of suggestions for me. And so here are three ways that you can actually think about sharing your genius. I know you're like, genius, who is she talking about? I'm talking about you because if you didn't realize, a specialist is anywhere someone who has a background or certification in something and they've done it for anywhere between 3 to 5 years. An expert, 7 years and beyond. And especially if you're in certain fields where you have to have levels of certification. So, for many of the people that Turning on the Lights Global Institute serves, we have many experts in the room. And one of the biggest challenges is making sure you are able to share your genius. Now, I know it's scary, right? And so I'm going to challenge some of you today. Number one, I want you to find our community, IWBCC on Facebook, or the International Women Build Confidence Conference on Facebook. And I want you to join. But when you join, I want you to be bold. I want you to do an introduction of who you are without dropping links. Just tell people why you enjoy doing what you do. Why do you do it? Who do you want to help? Who do you want to serve? Number two, there are some awesome community groups right in your locale. It's amazing. Sometimes we think we have to do so much just for people to know that we exist. When actually, if we look to our left, if we look to our right, if we look at our local community, we might be able to find what the local newspapers' needs are or what a local library's needs are. And it just takes you about 10 minutes a day to reach out to these particular organizations. And lastly, I highly recommend that you take part in one of the complimentary trainings that I have, and it's located right on my on demand TV link on our Dr. Alana DeGrassa website. I want to see you take drastic action. It's so easy at this time of the year to just say, oh, well, nothing is happening. Well, if you have a quiet season, one of the best things you can do is start to do an analysis around what has worked, what has not worked, and what can be immediately implemented. So I hope these tools help you to say, I can still win in 2021. Now, let me just also talk to you for a moment about some of the books that I have written because, it's been a while and you will be seeing me a lot more this part of the year. So, one of the books, my book, Tomorrow Can't Wait, it's a great book that really helps you to look at the formative years and to think deeply around how did I get here? What were the messages I received from the earlier moments in my life? How did that impact the choices that I'm making, even up until today? It's amazing to me when I think about the soft study I did for many years, where I would ask my graduate learners, tell me about a great experience you've had when you were young. Tell me about a not so great experience that you've had as you were young. And you know what? Many of them reported that it was the negative experiences that really had the largest impact in terms of how they saw themselves or their capabilities. And so, if you're someone in the middle of transition and you're really trying to go to another level, why don't you grab a hold of this book? Not only because I wrote the book, but I intentionally made the chapters very small and easy to read because there are questions for growth that really takes much of your brain energy. Because it's one thing to just say, oh, I read a book. It's another thing to say, wait a minute, there are questions in here that I have to answer. So, for example, when I think about the first chapter about leading a drastically different life, it's hard to break out of old habits and to leave procrastination and to tell yourself that more can be done. But I talk about how, sometimes it takes some kind of challenging event to capture our attention, right? And so in my case, when I thought about writing Tomorrow Can't Wait, it was at an interesting time. I was a newlywed. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was living in resentment because I had all of these journal entries that I wanted to turn into a book, but time got the best of me. And I kept saying, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to write. I don't have the time to tell my story. But it was brewing inside. Have you ever had that moment? And so I had all these journals in a luggage, and it was just this one day. And I said, that is it. Tomorrow can't wait. I'm not waiting anymore. I need to do something now. And I didn't have a following. I didn't have, lots of mentors at the time. I just literally had that desire and will for something to change. And that's what I want to encourage you to think about. What's that one thing? What's that one desire that you really have? And if you were able to really see a piece of that happen for you, 10 months from now, 2 years from now, what would that do for you? For me, the moment I took that book of journals and went to Starbucks and started to write, okay, I'm going to write this book. Here's my first chapter. Something released out of me that was just energetic. I mean, I was able to start to use that pen on the paper, and I just said, no matter what, every single day I am going to write until this book is completed. And sometimes when we think about all the details that it will take to get a job done, we usually think about it so much that we don't do anything. But today, I want to just say maybe this is your wake up call. Ba-bing, there's your beep. What can you do today to jumpstart your goal? Maybe for you, it will be to grab a copy of the Tomorrow Can't Wait book. Maybe it will be to join the IWBCC group. Now, the International Women Build Confidence Conference began in 2016. Hubster and I was talking, and I really said maybe I should form a small Facebook group. And we talked about it, and from that came IWBCC. We had our first conference in 2018, and now we're on year 4. And I'm super excited. Despite what's going on with the pandemic, we have still been plugging away because you know what? Even in challenging times, I have found that we either shrink or we expand. We get stronger when challenging times come. And this might be your time where things feel like, you are being pressed on every side and you just don't know what to do. And I would say one of the number one things you can do when you think things are just not moving is to move, is to actually go inch by inch and to ask yourself, how can I begin to move forward? So, like I said before, what are three ways you can get seen and heard? Well, again, you want to make sure that you're thinking about your messaging. You want to make sure that you're thinking about your community. And lastly, you're thinking about how you can kickstart your own goals. So go ahead and make sure that you subscribe. I want to know, what specific goals do you have before the year ends? And I love reading comments, so I want to see those comments. And lastly, if you haven't done so, go and grab the Tomorrow Can't Wait book. I wrote it just for you. People who are busy, people who have goals, people who have dreams, people who have messages that they want to get out. And I cannot wait to virtually connect with you. That's it for now. Take care and make sure you use our hashtag UPML. And thank you so much for being a part of today's discussion. Bye bye.